Hi guys, John from P&P Campers. Just to do your handover video on your Swift KonTiki. I believe it's a 649. I'll just double check that. 649, yeah, Swift KonTiki 649. So this is on the automatic 3 litre 160 multi-jet Fiat Ducato engine chassis, and so under the bonnet we've got your washer fluid on the top left, power steering fluid under this cap just here, engine coolant in this reservoir just here, which you just check when the engine's cold, brake fluid attached to the servo just down the back just there. Engine oil gets topped up through this cap just here at the top of the engine, and you can see there, nice colour on that, nothing sort of creamy or anything like that, so there's no water inside there, which is what you want. Engine oil dipstick is this one just here. The engine battery in this particular style of cab sits under the floor just in front of the passenger seat, so to jump start the vehicle you've got a positive terminal just here with a little positive terminal badge just there, and your negative or your earthing point is this one just here. Now I know it's a little bit rusty, they do go like that if you take the original cover off. If you can't get a decent earth off of that, there is normally a little engine hoisty part just here, so if you could get an earth onto that, that'd be, you know, that'll work really well as an earth for that positive there, but if not, you know, just give it a go on that, it usually works. You've got your Alco chassis plate just here, so you can see it's weighed at 5 tonne. 249 is the Fiat white colour, so if you ever needed any body work done or anything like that, all of this stuff here is Fiat 249, and that's it really. So down here on the near side we've got your fuel filler cap, and obviously that is diesel that goes in there, and your bonnet release is just inside the passenger door just here. Your jack and wheel brace bits and pieces should be here underneath the passenger seat, which it is. And I will carry on this way. So down here with this big locker here that's open, you've got your leisure battery. So there is space in here for 2 leisure batteries if you did want them in the future, but at the moment there is just the one. You've got your solar controller just there as well, which is there directly attached to the leisure battery. There's a cover just here for that as well, which I will put on now, or just after I've done this video. But the other thing I want to show you is this. So if you wanted to drain out your fresh water, if I turn this now, you'll see fresh water comes out from there. So just turning that opens up your freshwater tank drain. Your freshwater inlet is this pipe just here, and that comes in from there. So if you wanted to open that up, you need to pop that a little bit open. Just grab your key out and show you what you need to do to unlock it. So key goes in, you turn the key whichever way it will go and take it out, and then you're able to unlock it. In and round to the right until it stops, and then to lock it, just like that. So that's your freshwater inlet. Your awning up there obviously sits kind of inset to the body, which looks, you know, looks really nice. A nice little Swift badge at the end there. You've got 2 awning lights. When you lock the vehicle, those 2 awning lights come on so that you can see, it's like a kind of going home light if you like. So that's what they are. Hartle door, so it's a really nice heavy duty quality unit there, which will also lock on the central locking, but if it stops working at some point, you've got like a manual override for that with the key. The step comes out with a button just inside the door, that one just there, and that works exactly as you'd expect. You can see how sort of heavy duty this is. Really heavy door. I think it's all a metal frame rather than plastic ones. These 2 vents just here are for your fridge. So I've got the fridge lit up on gas at the moment. I can feel a little bit of warm air coming out through here. This style of fridge vent is a little bit more difficult to actually feel the warm air there, but basically the gas flame sits down here on the bottom right hand side of the bottom vent, and it comes up here through a flue and comes out just around here somewhere. So if you wanted to just double check that it's definitely working, you should feel a little bit of warmth, but not too much. I will obviously show you how to use it properly inside anyway, but there you go. The noise you can hear, by the way, is because I've got the heating on full blast, and I will just talk you through that in a second. So this bit just here is an external gas point. It's a bullfinch fitting, and just for future reference, when you close this up, you might find that you struggle to open it. Obviously I did it okay just there, but you need to, same as this one over here, to actually get it to open up nice and easily, you need to push in this little square here, push in with your thumb, and then it comes out really easily. Otherwise it is a bit hard to open. So just push in the square just there when you're opening it. The vent just here, like I said, is your boiler. So all of this moisture that's coming out through here, the condensation, is totally normal. Because it's quite a cold day today, we're going to get extra condensation building up. If it was quite a hot day, you might not get so much of that, but that's all that is. External power point here, so this is the mains power point, so this will only work when your mains hookup's plugged in. And same again, this one actually says it on it, push in and then release. This locker just here, open that up, hold on a second. This locker here is just your garage basically. There is an LED strip light in there, and your awning winder and centre pole. Obviously all of that's been checked as part of the habitation check, and it all works as you'd expect. Reversing camera sits nicely up there, just above the Swift sign in the middle. 3-bike bike rack and the original ladder. Tow bar at the back, so if you did want to tow anything, a small car, etc., it is all there and fitted properly with the electrics. So the next one is your gas locker here on this off side. If I open this up. So all you need to know really, in all honesty, is you can fit 2 13-kilo propane bottles in here if you want to, but at the moment there is just this one 6-kilo, which will last you a hell of a lot longer than you might expect. But basically just make sure that you turn these off before you start driving, and turning it on is anti-clockwise round to the left, and turning it off is clockwise round to the right. Make sure these are all nice and tight, the straps here, so they're not going to move around when you're driving. And that is honestly it. That is all you need to remember. The wastewater drain off point is this grey one down here. And there is a handle on there at the back. So if I turn this, it's actually already in its open position. Where it is there in line with the pipe is actually its open position, so the waste tank must be empty. But for the moment I'm going to close it off so that any water that goes into the waste tank doesn't just go straight out onto the ground, because most campsites don't really like that very much. Your toilet system here, so the top part that I've got opened up at the moment is your flush system. So you need to fill this up or top this up with your pre-mixed pink fluid. So this is your pink flush fluid, and to get that to close up, you might think, oh, wrong pocket. You might think when you close that like that it's actually locked, but it's not, so you can just open that up. So again, with this same circular key here, key in, turn it, take it out, and now I cannot move that at all. Alright, so the same for unlocking it. Toilet cassette locker underneath. To get this to come out, lift up and pull, just like that. This is a new toilet cassette because the old one was missing when we got to it. So all you need to know really is to drain it out, twist this round and take the cap off. Once you have drained it out, blue fluid goes back in here, about a cap full, goes back into the cassette. Give it a little swish around and put it back. When you're actually emptying it out from here, keep your finger pushed down on this little yellow tab at the back. And that's about it. If you want to lock the toilet cassette locker, you probably guessed, but same key, in and around, and that's it, locked. And the last one is your hookup point. So if you do have access to having a hookup plugged in, it is really beneficial, no matter where you are, to be fair. So if you do have access to that, plug it in, and I'll explain to you why in a minute. Okay, so in the cab, so you got 34,000 miles, so obviously absolutely nothing at all for a diesel engine like this. Also remembering the fact that, you know, these are all based on kind of commercial vehicles, delivery drivers, vans and things like that, which, you know, they'd go up to sort of 200,000-300,000 miles quite happily. So the low mileages that a lot of these motorhomes have, you know, it's never going to be a problem. Right, so you've got the automatic gearbox. So I'm obviously, you know, out of gear. I haven't got the engine running or anything, but quite simple how they actually work. You've got neutral in the top right where it is now, so I can't go left, right or up any further, so I'm in top right for neutral, so that when I turn the ignition on, it come up with a little N in the middle and you'll be able to start the van up. If I wanted to put it into drive, I literally, all I have to do is just pull it down and it will naturally go over to the left. Once it's over to the left there, you'll see on the screen it will go to A, or it might even just go to 1, and then you just basically drive along as it is. It should have a little A next to it, because that'll mean that it's in automatic mode rather than manual mode. To get it to switch between the two, you do just literally do this, push it once to the left, and it will switch between your automatic and your manual modes. So if you're in manual mode, it's not a problem. All you need to do is push down to shift up a gear, so from first to second, for example, and push up to go down the gears. So if you did want to drive it like that, it's completely up to you. Obviously, you know, you don't have any clutch to worry about or anything like that. It is still a fully automatic system, but you can use the manual way if you want to. If you don't want to, just, like I said, just push it over and it'll go back into automatic. To drop it into reverse, back over to the right and down to the bottom right. And as soon as you do that, your reversing camera will come up with your rear screen there as well, so you'll be able to see what you're sort of going back to. You've got a nice doubled in head unit there as well, which previous owners fitted, not us, I believe. Might be wrong. The center console here, so you've got the air conditioning switch just there, and all of your fan your fan settings and temperature controls. I'm not going to run through those because they are pretty straightforward. I mean, every car's the same, to be fair. You can lock and unlock the cab from here, which is helpful if you don't have the key to hand when you're inside. Hazard warning lights, fog lamp. The heated rear window switch won't do anything because there's no original rear window here anymore, obviously. Cruise control works from just here, so you can turn it on from there, adjust your speed and resume. Lights are on the left-hand stalk just here, and your washers and wipers are on the right. You can also lock the cab from here, windows, and your adjustable, well, electric adjustable wing mirrors. So you just basically select which mirror you want to move and then use it as a joystick. So that is it for the cab. Straight away, I will just point out, you know, you can obviously see that I've got all these cushions up and a few more at the back as well. This is because there's quite a lot of important stuff underneath these seats that I didn't want to have to clamber around taking it apart on the video. So that's why they're all up in, you know, up a little bit sort of ugly like that, up away. So straight away, I will get onto the control panel in just a second. But straight away, just down here, I just want to show you. So these two bits here, so these are both Sergeant unit things. So the Sergeant unit is what's called your PSU, or your power supply unit. So the power supply unit, probably self-explanatory. It basically takes the power from both your hookup and from your leisure battery, and just basically sends it wherever the power needs to be sent to. You've got a little diagram down here which tells you what every single one of these fuses does, and like sort of where they power, what they do. So if you did get any problems with anything 12 volt, you can have a little look in here, go through that little diagram there and just see. So for example, if your extractor fan stopped working, you could come down here, have a little look, and then it should be that one there, fuse 5, 10 amp. Have a look in there, find fuse 5. So that one, 10 amp, yes. You could take it out, have a look, and you know, that's kind of the only thing that we would do if if you brought the van back into us and the light wasn't working, and it wasn't just a bulb, that's all we would do. We'd just go down there, have a look. So it's all there if you want to have a look at that. You've then also got on this right hand side, this is all to do with your mains stuff. All right, so this is all 240 volt stuff. So you've got your trip switches here, and these 4 bits here. So reverse polarity isn't a button, so you can't press that. That will only come on if there's an issue with your hookup. The next one is your charger, so you can turn that off if you want to, which you don't want to do, because when you plug the hookup in, you want the charger to be on. Space heater, if you didn't want that mains power going to that for some reason, you can turn that off, and same with the water heater. So you don't need to worry about any of those buttons there, to be honest, unless you get a problem with anything, which you shouldn't do because everything's working as it should now. But that's where all that stuff is. That's your power supply unit, and it is a Sargent EC 400. If you ever needed to know that, which you probably won't, but that's what that is. Okay, so obviously you've got a huge over cab bed with the ladder just here, ready to be hooked onto the hooks there to help you get up there. We've got a load of paperwork just here. So you've got the speakers in the very, very back up there, and a couple more just here by these lights as well, as well as obviously the ones in the cab. Okay, so I'll show you through the control panel, which is probably the best place to start, really. So at the moment, as you can see, I've got the lights on inside, I've got the boiler on, I've got the fridge on, blah, blah, blah. So the power is already switched on. If the power wasn't switched on, you wouldn't have any of these lights on and stuff. So I don't need to press the power button because I know it's actually already on, even though the screen's off. The screen goes off because if you were laying here at night and this screen was still blaring out lights, you know, it would do your head in. So they turn off after a few seconds. So I'm just going to press any of these buttons here to get the screen to come back on. So I've pressed that. View levels. So straight away it's telling us the vehicle battery level, wastewater level, freshwater level, and leisure battery levels. Okay, so press that again. So we've got 12 volts in the leisure, so that's fine. We've got about 1/4 of a tank of fresh water, empty waste tank, and 12 volts in the vehicle battery. So straight away you can know that that's all absolutely fine. Batteries only really, you only need to worry about a battery when it goes to about 10 or below, which is why the scale goes to 10. When you're in the van, if you've gone away for a weekend or something and you are going to be using the lights and you are going to be using the boiler and etc., it is worth having the hookup plugged in. I know that you've got solar panels on the roof of this van, but at the end of the day, it's not enough. You know, unless you're in the peak of summer and the sun's absolutely blaring down, it's not really enough just to keep everything on all day long. Okay, so if you do have access to a hookup cable, it's really, really helpful. Just plug that in and keep it. You know, you haven't got to worry about the power then. All the time that this screen's on, it will be telling you as well, with this little light that was just there, it's just gone off there, that light there above leisure battery is on, and this one above vehicle battery isn't on. So that is exactly how you want it. If I press battery select, it would switch over from leisure battery to vehicle, and all that does is basically switch which battery is powering everything in the van. So at the moment, because all these lights are on, they're running from the leisure battery, which is the one that you want everything to be powered from, because if you switch over to the vehicle battery, your vehicle battery will be drained out and you won't be able to start the van up. So that's why you want it over on leisure. So you can change that by pressing that button there, but obviously, like I said, you shouldn't really. Water pump, if I turn that on, you can just about hear it. It's just getting up to pressure. And then once I've done that, the first thing you want to do is just come over to this tap, pull the hot water, cold water through, and make sure that it's coming through okay, which looks like it might cough a little bit. Maybe not, it's all good. And then over to the hot. So you will always get a little bit of air coming out. So you just need to wait for this to sort of die off and start coming through nicely. Which is just about now, so there's no more sort of coughing, spluttering. So I can turn that off, and when I turn it off, I want to make sure that the water pump turns itself off. I can still just about hear it. So another good learning point, if the pump's not turning itself off, come around to all the other taps as well. There you go, you've got some air coming out from that one. So that won't be helping the pump staying on. Over to the hot. Not much air in that one. I'll turn that one off. Now if we listen. There you go. So the pump's turned itself off. So I would imagine if we just do this one as well, actually, I should imagine. Yeah, there's a fair amount of air in this bathroom system. So we'll just go around to the hot as well. Turn it off. Okay, there you go, much better. So if I just quickly explain to you what I just did. So when I had the pump, so I've got the pump on, the pump switch is on, so the pump has got power, and it means, because it's actually turned itself off, it means that it's up to pressure and it's ready to turn itself off. So they only turn off when they get to whatever pressure they're set to, so it's probably 30 psi. So if you turn that pump switch on and the pump's just running and running and running, even though you've done what I did just there, 9 times out of 10, it will mean that there's another tap somewhere that has some air in the system. So if the water pump system has got air in it, it can't get to its 30 psi pressure. So you need to release that air by pulling all the taps, just like I did there, and then it'll get rid of it all, and then it'll pressurize. So that's what I just did there, just so that you know. So the reason you have to do that is if you want to use your boiler and you want to get your water hot, you need to make sure that you've done what I've just done there. If you don't do that, there's no way of you knowing that the boiler is actually full of water. So when I pulled the hot tap and the water coughed and spluttered a little bit, what that meant was that there was some air in the boiler system, and I just basically got rid of that air by pulling the water through and allowing it to come through nice and clear. Sometimes if the boiler is actually empty when you come to it, that'll take a lot longer than that to come through, so maybe a minute or two. But unless you've got no water in the tank, it should always pressurize if you've got the boiler drain shut. Okay, so the boiler drain, again, I will carry on with the control panel in a minute, but I'm just kind of got myself sidetracked. So again, you can hear the boiler's actually working and lit up at the moment. The boiler drain is this one just here, the little yellow tab. So if I lifted that upright right now, every single bit of water in that boiler, 10 litres, will drain straight out onto the floor. So where it is now, like I said, is when it's in its shut position, and whatever water goes into the boiler will stay in the boiler. All right. The only reason you would ever need to actually drain this out as well, by the way, is if it's going to get to the winter time, like it is now, to be fair. If it was going to get to winter time and you thought, okay, it's so cold in here that this water's going to freeze, you need to make sure that you drain it out before that happens. If the boiler's full of water, 10 litres of water, and it freezes and expands, this boiler will break and it's not a cheap fix. So just make sure that you drain this out if you think you're going to be leaving the van through the winter months. Otherwise, they're very, very reliable. You've got an air, so this is the pipe that goes out to the outside, like I showed you. And then these few bits here are sort of drawing air in. And then you've got all the pipes, these brown pipes here, that split off around the vehicle to these little circular vents here and pump around the air exactly where they need to be, basically, in order to heat the van up efficiently. So back to the control panel. I've got the water pump switch on at the moment, as you can see, with this little green light. Awning light, I can turn that one on, and then we should have lights outside, as you can see there. when you turn that on and off like that, the one to the right as well will work, and obviously when you turn that on, that will then give you access to using every single one of the lights in the van. Frost protect, you shouldn't really worry about that. That's only really if you've got the slightly different style of boiler where you can actually press the button and it will drain the water out from there. But the manual one there is a bit better, to be completely honest, because it means you've got a bit more it's a little bit more manual. That's something that's really, really important, and if that doesn't work, then you're kind of screwed. So having that manual one just there is a bit better. So that's about it for the control panel. If you have a little light up here next to the mains word, it means that your hookup's plugged in and working. Okay, so I will just let you know, I'm not actually going to press any of these buttons, okay? So this is all to do with your hydraulic rams underneath. I'm not actually going to press the buttons because I'm in here doing the video. I don't want to actually, you know, if something goes wrong with it, I can't do anything about it, if you know what I mean. So I'm not actually going to press any buttons, but we've had this up and down plenty of times. We know it works absolutely, you know, really, really well. So the basics of it is you've got an on and off switch just there, the top right. You've then got an alert switch just here, which basically tells you when there's a problem, I think. So, you know, you shouldn't really need to worry about that one. And S there, which is also slightly different, which is to do with servicing. So that's your servicing button. So again, don't worry about either of these two here. Back, front, left, right. Okay, so it's basically, you've got a little light next to each one of those, which tells you what's going on and what's moving and all that. So once you've turned it on, all you have to do really, if you press up here, what that does is it doesn't push the van up, it lifts the hydraulic rams up. Okay, so essentially the button there that says up essentially drops the van down, if that makes sense. And when you press the down button, it pushes the rams down, which then pushes the van up. Okay, so the main button you're going to want to press, to be honest, is these two here. All right, so when you want to put the van up on the ramps, press the down button. It'll push all the hydraulic rams down, lift you up until you're level, and it will stay. And it will, you know, stay still. It will stop. When you want to put them back down again, or sorry, put them back up again, so that you can drive off, you just press the up button. It will drop it down. They do tend to drop down quite quickly, just so that you know. Because obviously they have to build up the pressure and the hydraulic fluid to push the van up, you know, 5 tons worth of van up. And then when it's coming down, all it's actually doing is releasing itself. So it comes down a hell of a lot quicker than it goes up, just so that you're aware of that. It's the same on all of them, actually. It's not just this one. And the only other button I want to show you is this one here with a little hand on it. Really simple what that does. It's basically a manual override. So if you wanted to, so for example, on another van that we've just sent out, we had the wheels refurbished, and so the only way to get the van all the way up so that we could take all the wheels off without actually jacking it up with a manual jack outside, we just pressed the hand button and then just basically pushed and held on the front and back until it was so high that all the wheels were off the floor. All right, so you can do that as well if you want to, but that's all there for you to use if you want to. These are all just light switches, apart from this one here, which is the step. You've then got your fridge. So at the moment, I have actually got the fridge lit up on gas, and the way that you can tell that it's actually working on one way or another is that you'll always have this little green light inside here. If the fridge is off and it's not working on any sort of mode, that little green light won't be on. So I'm just going to press the button once. It won't turn it off if I just tap it. You have to press and hold it to actually turn it off like that. I'm just going to sit down so I can show you it a bit better. So I'm going to tap it, and then it comes up straight away saying A, which is automatic, a gas flame symbol, which means it's lit up on gas, and 5. Okay, so if I want to actually change how it's working, I press this button here, and it will change through 3 different modes. So that one there that's on now is the hookup, and it's flashing at you saying error 10 because the hookup isn't actually plugged in. If I select through another one, that one there is 12 volt, so that's your battery, and that's also flashing saying error 7 because the engine isn't running. So the only way I can use the fridge at the moment is on gas. Okay, if you wanted to be lazy, not really, but if you wanted to be lazy, you can press that one there until you get the A come up, and this fridge would just basically switch between those ones, those 3 ways automatically for you. The only 2 ways that the fridge will get cold by itself is the gas or the mains electric. So if you have mains plugged in, it is said that the most efficient way to do it is just to turn it on the mains. If you don't have mains, you have to cool it down on the gas. And then all you have to do when you start driving, when you start the engine up, just switch through here to the 12 volt symbol. So I'm going to turn the fridge off for now. So you've got what's called a split relay. So when you start the engine up, the alternator charges up the engine battery, like any car or van does, and it also gets split off to the leisure battery and the fridge via the split relay. So all the time that your engine's running, you're also charging up your leisure battery and sending power to this fridge so that you can keep it cool whilst you're driving. So hopefully that makes sense. So what we got down here? All right, so this is the top of the fresh tank. So if you wanted to get in there to clean that, you can do that from there. Your cooker, you've got the hot ring at the back, so that's that one just there. This only works when your hookup's plugged in, and it should be this very left-hand one here. Other than that, you've got your 3 burners just there, so that's all your gas burners, grill and oven, and an ignition switch for every single one of those. Just there. So that's all nice and easy. Microwave at the top there. Again, this is a 240 volt appliance only, so it will not work without a hookup cable plugged in. Extractor, this is the vent for your extractor, just so that you know, if you ever wondered what that is. Extractor works really well, just literally by that button there. And you've got a light switch for the underneath and the top from there. You've got various sockets. I mean, the previous owner had lots of 240 volt sockets fitted. So you've got these ones down here with your TV points, TV bracket. In the wardrobe should be your TV aerial, I should think. Yeah, so tilt and turn TV aerial, loosen this part at the top off, and then you'll be able to push this up and turn it wherever you need to turn it. When you get to a campsite, if you can't sort of work out where it needs to be, have a little look around and see where everybody else is pointing, and just try and copy them, basically, is the best way. If you can't do that, then there are these bits here telling you, well, sometimes there is, there you go, telling you how to use it. And then your TV aerial booster. So when you get to the right position with this, you will also need to turn on your booster just there, which basically just boosts the signal and sends it down to that socket just there, so that you get a nice signal there to watch the TV. That's what's in your wardrobe. The bathroom, I'll do that next. So it's a really straightforward bathroom. You've got a light switch just down there. The sink, I mean, you've already seen me using both of these now, but the sink and the shower are both exactly the same as the sink in the kitchen. Literally just a hot and cold mixer tap. So I don't need to show you how to use that. The only thing I do want to show you is the toilet. So the top of the toilet there, again, it's new. You've got the toilet drain, so this drains it out into the cassette. Pulling it over drains it into the cassette, pushing it back closes that flap back over, so you're just basically opening and closing this flap just here. To get the flush fluid to pump around, press this big blue button at the top, and there's obviously not enough fluid in there, so we'll top that up. But that's how you pump the flush fluid around here. And that is, honestly, as simple as it gets for a bathroom, to be fair. The last bit really I want to show you is the boiler controls. So it's all pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. And I will say as well, just in case you do struggle, there is that paperwork just there in that little bit there, which actually tells you exactly how to use these diagrams, these these dials with diagrams. So I think over the years I have got quite good at explaining it, but still, you know, sometimes people don't really understand it because it can be a little bit confusing. But I'm just going to turn it off quickly so that quiets down a little bit. So you've got two dials, one that says Combi E at the bottom and one that just says Combi. And by the way, that's just flashing because it's cooling itself down. All right, so if you do hear a fan, it's just it cooling itself down. Until that stops, it's still kind of running. So Combi E at the bottom is really, really simple. Okay, so you don't need to overcomplicate it at all. Combi E, where it is at the moment, it's pointing towards a little gas symbol. And what that means is, whatever you tell the boiler to do up here, it's going to do it via the gas. All right, so if I tell the boiler to light up here, it will do it on gas. If I go up 1 or up 2 on Combi E, it basically turns the gas off and switches the mains electric on. So if I had a mains cable plugged into the vehicle, I could select 1 up or 2 up here and then tell the boiler whatever I want it to do, and it would do it on the mains electric only without any gas. If I go down 1 or 2, you can see you've got gas and electric symbols, and that basically is as simple as that. Whatever I tell the boiler to do up here, it will do it on gas and electric. All right, so that is honestly all the Combi E does. It just basically selects what energy to use. So Combi energy is like the way I'd like to remember it. So for the most part, people will just leave it here on the gas symbol, so that, you know, because 9 times out of 10 you are going to be using this on gas, to be fair. It's a little bit more unusual to use it on the mains. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but yeah, it's just a little bit more unusual to do it like that. So at the moment, I'm going to leave it here on the gas symbol and then choose what I want the boiler to actually do on the Combi switch up here. Okay, so I'm on gas at the bottom, and if I want hot water only, I'll go up 1 or up 2, and that'll give me 40 or 60 degrees of hot water. All right. If I don't want hot water and I do want heating, I'll go down 1, and that gives us heating only. So any second now, the fan will start back up. Like it is now. And basically, it will light up on gas again, and it will start pumping hot air around to these little circular vents. Okay, so at the moment, the boiler's lit up to heat the van up only, without any hot water, and it's doing it via the gas. If I wanted hot water and heating at the same time, I'd go right the way down to the bottom, and that gives us heating and hot water. Okay, so I'll just let that light up. So you can probably just about hear it. It's so quiet, but you can just about hear the gas flame going now. So at the moment, where I've got these two now, I've got heating and hot water, and it's doing it via the gas. If I went back to the middle and up to the top to 60 degrees hot water only, and went up to the top down here, it would try and give me 60 degrees hot water via the mains electric, but at the moment it's flashing at me because there's no mains cable plugged in. Okay, so the only way I can do it at the moment is down to the gas on here and then go up. So that is it. So hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, that green light will stop like it has done now. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense and I've just talked total nonsense to you, there is this diagram here. So yeah, try not to confuse yourself with this though, to be fair, because I know that sometimes it can be a little bit more confusing even to look at the bloody diagrams. So hopefully that made sense. I know it's been quite a long video, but there's quite a lot of stuff to show you in this van because it's a nice good quality, nice big van. The skylights here are really simple how they work. Push this button in here and then pull the handle out all the way back, opens it all the way up. You can also put it sort of halfway up in these little grooves, and that'll then, you know, it's locked in place, but it is still open, or all the way shut and up to the top. Okay, so I think that's about it really. When you finish with the van, you want to sort of drive off and go home, whatever. Main things you need to do: make sure that all your gas appliances are off. Make sure your fridge is switched over to 12 volt. Make sure that your gas is switched off in the locker. One of the most important things: make sure all your skylights are down, all your windows are shut. Because if you want one of these skylights, so basically, if any of these skylights break, you're looking at £1,000 for the actual part. You know, that's how much they cost us, and then, you know, a good few hours labour to replace them. So please take care of these because they are so expensive now. Same with the windows, to be fair. You know, if you one of these windows breaks or something, it's roughly 700 quid just for us to get them. So please take care of those. But yeah, so otherwise I think I've pretty much covered everything I can. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going through again, just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.